so excited to be here. Is everyone else excited to be here? I'm excited to be here. I'm in a great mood, drunk as shit. I'm not really drunk as shit, but I am in a great mood. This is not always the case. I'm actually a compulsive worrier. I'm always worried about some goddamn shit or another. When I worry, I frown, and considering I'm always worried, I'm always frowning, which means that I think that I'm growing a second vagina here in between my eyebrows. I know, like a weird hybrid vagina with 3 lips. Which, depending on who you talk to, can either be a good or a bad thing. I feel like I'll get a lot more attention from heterosexual men when I talk, but I might lose the entire homosexual male population. I took my worry vagina down to the doctor, and I said, "Doc, I'm so worried all the time, I think I'm growing a second vagina." And she said, "That's terrible, because you can't even feed the one you have." I mean, it's true, I never thought. So she was like, "Well, what are you worried about?" And I said, "Doc, you name it, I'm worried about it. Love, life, my career, my existence, thoughts, feelings, citrus fruit, hammer toe, specifically how much it sounds like hammer time, how much the Spanish word for lawyer sounds like avocado, cats." My doctor's like, "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's very common, but in the healthcare industry, we call it anxiety." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great. I'm really glad we know what we're talking about here, but what's the difference between worrying and having anxiety?" And my doctor's like, "Well, if you have anxiety, we can prescribe you medication and bill it to your healthcare company." Oh, not good with that one. I said, "Doc, I don't think I really want to take any medication because my body is a temple, which I routinely fill from floor to ceiling with wine and marijuana. But I don't want any of your snake oil medications. I would like to figure out how to address my anxiety naturally." So my doctor said, "Okay, dickhead, you want to do this the hard way?" This whole conversation is totally factual, by the way. Straight from when my doctor accused me of not being able to feed my vagina to referring to me as a dickhead. It all happened. And she said, "Well, I've heard from a lot of people that meditation can actually help deal with some of the negative effects of anxiety. Just settling your mind down, clearing it all out, really just stopping, not thinking about all the things, all the stimulus that society throws at us." And so today I had the entire day off, and I really sat down and I tried to meditate. I stepped away from my computer. I stopped responding to emails. I wasn't checking my text messages. I wasn't sending any text messages. I really just tried to meditate. But unfortunately, my brain auto-corrected meditate to masturbate. And I ended up just sitting around double-clicking the mouse anyway. I think my anxiety produces a little bit of paranoia, because I have some sort of bizarre conspiracy theories. I'm paranoid about a lot of things. I'm starting to think that blowjobs are just something that men invented to shut bitches up. One day in the far distant past, some woman was sitting around shooting her mouth off about, being independent and owning property. Nonsense. And the men folks started to get really nervous, because if women owned some things, how could they own all the things? So the men obviously had a big meeting. It was probably at like a strip club, like Yield, Bada Bing or something. And they talked and they talked and they couldn't figure out what to do to shut the women up. And finally, a enterprising young man stood up and he said, "Fear not, brothers. I'll put my dick in her mouth. And she'll never be able to say anything again." And then he figured out that it felt kind of good, and so it obviously became a thing. I understand that's a bit of a bizarre conspiracy theory. I just really fail to understand how the first blowjob came about. Like, I just can't imagine that a cave lady was sitting in her cave, looking at her caveman and his cave dick. It was like, that looks delicious. I'll have that. I don't know. I think modern day dicks are kind of gross. I can't imagine what a cave dick was like. I mean, I think the only reason I really think that dicks are gross is because I know that dudes don't wipe their dicks after they pee. And I know that because I spend a lot of time in CVS and I've never seen any dick toilet paper. And I can't imagine any guy like folding up a piece of toilet paper like all perfect like origami and just like patting the tip of his dick away. Because that's some Hannibal Lecter style shit. I kind of imagine a guy's dick to be a little bit like a half-eaten lollipop rolling around in the bottom of my beach bag, collecting all sorts of like flotsam and jetsam. Because I imagine all guys' dicks to be slightly damp. I work in the service industry, and they tell us that when you come across citrus fruit like oranges and lemons, you're supposed to wash the lemons really, really well because all the dirt, specifically the fecal matter, collects in the little nodules where the lemon connects to the tree or whatever. So if I'm going to be worrying about fecal matter on lemons, I'm sure as shit to be worried about fecal matter on a man's dick, because at least lemons don't have an entire porno genre dedicated to anal sex. That's my time tonight, folks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Oh, another.